maybe it's already. Well, sometimes it starts without noticing. Hello, I think we are live now. Hi, Jasmine.
Hi.
Hi. We've been. I mean, I was appreciating your place from what I can see. I was like, wow.
Mhm.
I mean, wow. And also, you're dressed like very Egyptian, so I don't know if that's very Egyptian, but you tell me maybe.
Not really. This is,
Okay.
but I wouldn't say my dress. Maybe more ancient, but not modern. Egyptian for sure not. Yeah.
But
Hmm.
I look for the audience maybe that are like probably that are like what is going on. So I found out your Instagram profile like a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, there is something there that I was curious. I was curious about like what is this like? I was seeing like pictures of you obviously, but uh, I was seeing like spirituality there. I was seeing like words like shamanism and obviously Egypt is not just a tourism land; it's also a mystical land for and has been like that for centuries. So, and it's very curious to me that still nowadays people like you or somebody or like people like you um, still has that mysticism and so I guess I was curious about you and then I contact you and you say you were happy for it. I said okay, thank you, let's do it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jasmine, to coming over.
Yeah. Thank you for the invitation. And here we are. So I'm looking forward to this journey.
Okay. Yeah. So why don't you maybe would you mind telling a little bit about you? Like what do you do and what brought you there? Like what's going on?
Yeah, so hi, I'm Jasmeen Hana, and for those who are listening, I am originally half Egyptian. So my father is Egyptian, my mother's Austrian. I moved to Egypt at the age of 12, and in my teens, I had a very dark night of the soul, kind of like some teenagers have. Why am I here? What's the point of life? Very curious about the nature of the afterlife. I was very religious, but something in my heart was very, very sad. And in that time, I was had a very intimate relationship to what was like the otherworldly, or the sense of dying and what's the point? And I'm one person in the middle of billions. Who cares? Like, really, what is it about? So, and in a way, I was lucky and unlucky to have that at such a young age, at 17, because so it really shaped my future from that moment. And it wasn't, I guess, until I really came to mythology, and especially to the ancient Egyptian and Greek mythology, that I found some very deep answers, and they were like embedded in stories for me. And so these stories kind of, you could say, in some way saved even my life, because I found a spark of hope in the darkest night. There was like a star that started to shine, and I, in some way, became my northern star. And that's the path I've walked now for the last 10 years, is more supporting many others to find that light in the darkness. But for me, it came at a young age. And also this, in our home we always had papyruses. And when I moved to Egypt at 12, I was seeing the pyramids and all the drawings of all the neter, or, gods and goddesses and different kind of pharaohs. So I was very curious, but very scared too. They had a power that was very intimidating for me. And so I didn't go too deep. It felt almost like, okay, from my religious upbringing, it felt almost too pagan. Like I shouldn't go there. It's too powerful, something I shouldn't go into. So I found a lot of peace in Buddhism. I found a lot of peace in my heart on that path, really, where also the lotus path came to me at 21. So it brought a lot of peace into my heart, finding a deep connection to nature and to the Great Mother, to art as a therapy. And until at around, I'd say, 26, I really woke up to the sense that all of this beauty and light is not deep enough for me anymore. I almost felt like the dark mother, the dark goddesses came back, and it's like there's more, there's more power. And so I started my path with Tantra, with shamanism. going deeper into the earth. Deeper, of course, meant into my body and into my emotions, and also into my darkness, into my sexuality, into my unconscious. And I was very lucky to find a great group of people that I trained with, mentored with, studied with, also started facilitating with. And so the spirituality, shamanism, sexuality for the last 10 years have been all connected, interconnected, and super important. I realized spirituality alone, without the connection to earth and body, to life itself, is very lofty, is very abstract. And if sexuality is like the key to really unlocking the power, or at least the sexual life force energy. So this is when, the story of the alchemist, you leave, you leave, and then you're like, the treasure was where it all started, actually. But I had to go on this long journey all around the world, also in South America. Always, I feel very blessed that I always found very authentic teachers or mentors, beings that maybe you don't even have a profile on social media, but really people of the land. And so they were such powerful guides and teachers and doctors for me, you could say, medicine people. So, but in the end, I came back to Egypt, and I came here, and I was like, where are the indigenous medicine keepers? Where are they? Well, they're not like in India, or like you can find them in some places, South America. So it was more of like a 10-year journey now of uncovering the deeper mysteries by being here on the land, by being with my family more, by connecting with the locals, and also by just listening to the land. And slowly the tribe comes together here. And in the last 10 years, the big jigsaw kind of puzzle of my work has been coming together. And at the center of it is truly the Blue Lotus as a path, as a shamanic path, as a path, a medicine path. But every neteru has its time, its place to work with. There's so much wisdom in this land, and I feel very blessed that I'm here now. Egypt is my home for half the year, and then Europe. So here I am, and this body of work that I've been birthing now is truly ready now to come into the world, and feel very just it's like feel like it's time, after such a long journey.
Well, Jasmine, wonderful.
Mm.
Look, I really I just I just signed up some eight more like questions. I didn't get one thing. Maybe you said you were born in Egypt or you were born in Austria or somewhere else.
I was born in London,
Ah,
and that's where my parents met. And then at 12, around 11, 12 years old, I asked my father, please, let's go back to Egypt. Please, let's go back to Egypt. And so the family moved to Egypt, and my sister was with us. She was happy. Yeah, it felt like we needed a change, And so we left London and moved to Egypt as a family, and my parents have been here since. And yeah.
wow. But they didn't move because you say that, but they had
No, I
their
guess
reasons, no? I
I
guess.
didn't force them. No, I didn't force them. There was already this sense in them that maybe one day we will do that and leave London. And hearing your child want that inspires them. It gave them the courage,
Yeah,
and
well.
that it gave them the strength to do it. It's a big move, and
Hmm. Yeah.
yeah, but to hear your children saying, please, I told my dad it's the land of your grandfathers and your ancestors, like it's important you go back and touch that earth and live on that earth. And so I think that really gave him the motivation to do that.
Wow. Well. Yeah, I mean, it's not an easy choice, right? At some point, it's like let's go back to Egypt because we know like the difference in like standards of living or whatever between Europe and Egypt. It's so it's not a choice that
Yeah.
it's not an easy choice to make. So I think
No.
as a this is actually one question just came up in my mind right now. You feel Egyptian, like you are like it's or not? Like you tell me.
I have definitely, I feel very connected to the ancient culture. It's very deep in my blood, it runs in my veins, in my dreams, and my ceremonies. It's was always there. Um, I love the modern culture somewhat, but I do have also a European side, and I guess that's the part of me that likes, like, I like to feel everything of the land, but then also when I go to Europe, it's like my intellectual construct of things starts to come together. So there is definitely in Europe a more constructual, intellectual kind of quality.
Hmm.
And so I enjoy that part too in some way.
Hmm.
Not to say here is not intellectual, but I think you
It's
know
more
what I mean, and maybe.
sophisticated, right? There is some sophistication that Europe developed over centuries that maybe Egypt didn't, or just I don't know.
Well, they definitely had a, a
In
very
ancient
high
times, in ancient
in
times,
ancient
yeah, yeah, for
times.
sure, for
Yes,
sure. But this
yes.
is actually a question I wanted to ask: is what's your relationship with Islam? Like what? Because okay, you are like half Egyptian and you feel Egyptian, and also you like the European, like this intellectual side as well. So you have both inside of you, but there is a third component in this life that you have there, which is Islam. It's so I wonder what's your I don't know if the question is not very clear, I guess, but
No, and it's an interesting question that you ask me. I have from the age of 6, I was very religious. I prayed 5 times a day from the age of 6. I fasted Ramadan for a month. So I Islam gave me the greatest gift, which is devotion and devotion in action. There is something so profound about this religion in the sense of the devotion to the action every single day that I see in the people and the beings. It blows me away and deeply humbles me to what actually a spiritual practice looks like, or a faith. And Islam has an incredible mystical side, a very shamanic side. It's a profound it's a profound religion, as all religions have their incredible qualities. So it gave me a lot and enriched my life in many ways. I also find it was important for me to, at some point in my life, ask the bigger questions and not just take it all as it is and just say that's it. And so I really allowed my mind to also expand and go more into the origins of life itself, nature, the ancient Egyptian culture, which was even pre Islam by thousands of years. What about them? So I think Islam has a very important jigsaw. Like in my puzzle piece, it is one important part, and there is a lot of peace in it and a lot of light in this. It's called peace. Islam means peace. So there is a profound beauty and light to it in the purity of its religion. Of course, like any religion, any spirituality can be distorted. And the distortion part is not so much what I resonate with, but the purity and essence of it is something that is touches me very deeply. Yeah.
what was missing in Islam that that was not enough for you?
I was, like I said, my brain was a thinker, you know. I wanted to think back to all the time before the religion. That was just I needed to understand more about myself, more about life, the universe, the nature, the origin, divinity. And there was obviously something that I needed, which was to find a connection to the Great Mother and to the womb of creation. And there was a kind of a connection to nature that I was seeking. You could say it's more the connection to earth and to my creativity, especially as a young girl. So I started to travel a lot in my mind, if you know what I mean. Like I think it's a healthy thing to question everything and not just take it for as the golden truth. And
Sure,
I
sure.
have a lot of respect for for many cultures and religions and traditions.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, well, really, the thing is that when it so did you actually watch the last? Maybe no, I don't know. It just came out the last Dune movie. I don't know if you watched it.
no, I watched the first one, but not the second
And
one.
what do you feel like? There is something there, right?
Well, I love the desert. I love the desert, and there's something profound about being in silence in the desert. And in ancient Egypt, I think this was a big part of their ancient culture was the desert, and then you have a small bit of green. Like it changes everything about what life and death is. And yeah, so I love the first movie, and also about the water. And yeah.
Yeah, so no, because I also, because if you watch the second part, which is right now out now, it's way more it's way more intense. Also, like spiritually wise,
Okay.
it's like the becoming of the Messiah for Paul Atreides, you know. So you actually, I never saw anything like that interpreted such, like, you know, you have this seed that become a tree, and
Uh-huh.
obviously, and he well, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but basically, you know, it's the journey of the Messiah, and he starts to self-realize himself, and people start to believe in
Mm.
him, and he doesn't want. And yeah, if you like the first one, I'm sure you will love the second one.
Great, good recommendation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So well, so many questions. um, what is the spark of light? I mean, it's a difficult question, but what is the spark of light that mythology? Because mythology is basically stories. So, and obviously, I mean, even the Bible is a story, right? But the myth, yeah. I mean, the question is like, what do you think saved your life? What was the spark of light? Because for me, the spark of light, at some point, there are like these tiny moments, and at some point, like, I think it was like 5 years ago, the spark of light for me was like realizing that life is about having fun, but that's a little bit naive and young in a way, and immature. Uh,
Mm.
but I don't mean fun like, I mean fun like in a deep way. Like, let's have
Mm-hmm.
fun in this. Let's enjoy
Yes,
this experience. And
beautiful.
but it's easy to say when you can have fun. But
Uh-huh.
then what if life, when life challenges you, that's not fun. So what's the meaning of life in that moment? And so
Mhm.
the question is like, what did you find?
Well, for me, the soul is like it's made of the same substance, like a star or like a sun. Um, it's starlit, and it's the spark is a spark of our soul that remembers itself in a way that it's on a journey and it's come from a place beyond this physical realm, and we manifest into these great bodies that we're given, and we have this life experience. And when something inside remembers that and awakens to that, like that knowing, oh my gosh, I'm a soul having an experience. And it doesn't mean the experience has to be fantastic and there's no hardship, but it's just that remembrance, like, wow, I'm on a journey.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so easy to forget that sometimes when caught up in the everyday
Mm-hmm.
responsibilities and material life. And that's not to say when that awakening happens that suddenly there is no more connection to the material life. Actually, that's something I learned later on, because I went the other direction. I just lived a fully spiritual life. I didn't have to work for years. I was sponsored in a way, or offered. I lived very simply, and I was just said, just meditate, Jasmine. Here you go. So I left the material world. It was it was a very big gift for me.
Yeah.
But also coming back into life, I realized, wow, it's both. It's spiritual life and
And
material
material
life
life,
and
yes.
physical life. It's
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that I love about the ancient Egyptian culture or tradition, is it really infuses the spiritual with matter. Like the spark is also found in the material world, and not just, it's like the soul awakens within the body. The soul awakens within this body, which is an animal body. And this is why they were so, you can see on all the carvings, it's really like animal infused with soul, and this like this fusion. And so there's a superpower to when we awaken as a soul in this physical body.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what happens is, or what I've come to see and witness over like a decade of doing groups and being with others in group spaces, is because of this upbringing, like, oh, there's something wrong with the body, we should transcend the body. And especially in the lower parts of our body, the fact that we have genitals, the fact that we have an anus, the fact that we need to go to the toilet, the fact that we have sexual urges, the fact that we eat, for my beginning of the journey was transcend all that and overcome all that. And but actually it's like how to bring that light, that spark, all the way down into the basement of the body, spark everything awakened in the base, so that divinity can really descend into the depths of matter. And I do feel that's like even the symbol of the pyramid is like really at the top you see this amazing mound of ascension all the way down to all the way up to the stars. And yet, if we go all the way to the stars, we also go all the way down into the belly of the earth. That's why the pyramid is also at the bottom. It's the same like what's at the top. So, yeah, the light travels into the lofty, beautiful realms. And at the same time, if we really want to awaken, or the spark to really be embodied, it goes all the way down, also into the basement of our body, and into the places maybe that we're most ashamed of, or we feel like this is unholy. There's sacredness there too. There's sacredness in every part of our body, in every cell of our being, and every aspect of our being is sacred. It's divine. So this is what I started to realize. It was like, the spark, like, wow. And that's how the journey even began. It's like, how do I live this so fully, not just here, not in my knowing, not just in my ethereal perception of life, but all the way into the core of my being. And this is kind of then the doorway that opened to this ancient Egyptian culture. They mastered that so beautifully. They lived it all here on earth. For here on earth, or the afterlife, it's a mirror. The afterlife is a mirror of this life. So it's like, eat fruit to be happy. So in the afterlife, you eat fruit and you're happy, like it's the same as what you lived here. And this is also a very beautiful image for me, and a very beautiful reality.
It's fascinating that you know so much about ancient Egyptian culture, and the way that the way that you the way they the way that they thought about. How do we know how, like, what did you read about them, that like, is the Book of the Dead enough? And it's not enough, right? How do you know, I'm just
It's
curious.
it's all over the walls in the temples.
Hmm.
Every wall is filled with life, is filled with the juice of life itself. It's written. It's all over the walls, just standing there. There's nothing. It's so full of nature. The connection to nature is profound. Even the language, the writing of it is symbols of nature. The bird, the
Yes, yes, I
reed,
know.
water, the mountain. It's like it's there. There's this, where there is a connection to nature. I feel like it's so simple.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah,
and we are beings, and we're nature beings, and maybe sometimes we forget. So it's easy to escape and go into the lofty places, or into the mental spaces. But when we start to wake up to our bodies and to our hearts and to our souls, there's a rich garden inside. And
one
this
question.
is what I see on the temple walls.
Yeah, one question is like, do you think the ancient Egyptian, like everyday people, like the common people, were practicing the religion of like Horus or Osiris in the temples? Like how? Like, I don't think they were allowed in, right? Or how did? Do you know if how that worked for them?
Well, again, I am not an Egyptologist. I don't want to claim to have any of like the answers. This is my journey. I've sat with a lot of Egyptologists. I've studied enough to, like, the local people, which Egypt wasn't like now. We're talking villages. It wasn't that hugely populated. The temples were a place to come together at festivals. Every temple isn't just one big chamber. You'll see it has. You've been, no? You've been,
You
right?
can see the succession of
Yes,
spaces.
the succession. And so
It's a
where
ritual.
there was. Mhm.
It's a ritualistic. It's a ritualistic. It's a ceremonial,
Yeah,
architectural wise.
passageway. So not anyone can maybe enter the place where the priests or the priestesses, or maybe different parts of the, like, the temple culture, those beings Also maybe where the pharaoh or where other beings who were welcomed inside, who had done their practices, and not anyone can enter. It's like if you've devoted your life to this temple, to the practices, then slowly you earn your way into the
Mm-hmm.
gateways of the temple.
Mm-hmm.
And yet there were spaces for everyone. And as far as I've come to understand, and also what I've learned, is that the temples are not just places of worship. The temple was a place for medicine. Some of the temples served as, in a way, like hospitals. There were places of healing. There was so if beings had sicknesses or whatever, different temples had different. So you'll see some of the rooms, they even have like formulas and recipes for, if this person has this, you put this herb at this time. And so there were places of education. They were like the universities, and usually there were other buildings around that served as the university complex, the hospital complex. You had a place where there were festivities at different times of the year, so the harvest would come and people would come, and then there would be the big 3-day festival, and everyone was welcome with their harvest. So the temple is not as we know it now, like a
Mm-hmm.
place where you just go and pray. And no, it was a place of life.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, the temple translated is a house of life. It's the house of life. And we are here alive now in these bodies. So this is the living temple. And the
Wow.
temple was a representation of that.
What a concept! I didn't think about that. I thought, yes, like hearing this from you like that, it gives me like such an amazing picture of what that could have been back in the days. Still nowadays, like of course you have tourists, but I think architecture is architecture is especially in Egypt. It does something to you. It's not just here, right? It just does something to you you know. And I just been in, so because you asked, I didn't go to the temples because I just been in Cairo for 1 month, and so I just saw the pyramids and museums and Saqqara, so just dead. But the life was happening in the Nile. It was not happening in the desert. So I missed all of that life of ancient Egypt. I just had the uh, underworld experience. Let's say.
Yes, but good. You have something to look forward to then.
Absolutely, no, no, no. So yeah, I'm gonna actually we can talk about your retreats later in the later in the after some time, because I know you organize also retreats and you guide people through having these experiences. So, but we can talk about it later maybe, because I have other questions maybe. Would you like? Um, okay, so what do you think? So it's all about so ancient, because a person like an everyday like common person like that is like now after like outside my house can and listen to the podcast is like, yeah, but what does ancient Egypt what can ancient Egypt teach us? No, we are modern humans, like we are so developed, and we have Christianity and Islam, so we have like thousands of years of evolution, they would say. What is there in ancient Egypt that can help us,
Yes.
that is not in already in other religions.
Well, what can come through now is the deep urgency or the dire urgency to reconnect back to nature. If we keep transcending our bodies because our bodies are dirty, our bodies are bad, we need to overcome the desires of our body. And so we'll wait for something, and then there's no focus on actually the here and now, which is really learning to go restore and return back to nature. The ancient Egyptian culture is really based around also the story of Isis or Uset. Uset is the ancient Egyptian name, Isis is the Greek name, which is also Osiris or Osar, and Horus, of course, in Heru. So this trinity is a really important story, not just because of it's a beautiful love story, and also a story, a tragic story that we can relate to as humans, a story of loss and a story of sadness and a story of joy, the human emotion. that's in this story. But also it's a story of regeneration and regenerating the land, regenerating earth, you know. So we're at a time now where I think it's really important to start looking towards regenerating the earth, regenerating the lands around us, regenerating this community of spirit. And to me, ancient Egypt holds a key to this regenerative quality of land and earth. Whatever happened until now happened. It's done. And now we have power. The second thing about the ancient Egyptian school, it's a school of power. And as humans, we have a tremendous power inside of us. We have this life force energy. We have a divine power within us. And it's to really activate it, like to activate it, it's a cellular activation, it's a physical activation. It means it's activating also our body along with that. So this is a true sense of power. And to have this power, I feel it's very important that we, for the ancient Egyptian, maybe this is the third thing. So first is regeneration. Second is power, remembering the tremendous power we have when we choose to liberate ourselves from within and understand we are powerful beings. The third thing is, which I think is very, very important, probably vital, is that ancient Egypt was ruled and governed by the laws of nature. And the laws of nature were governed by Ma'at, M-A-A-T. She's a force of nature, a divinity, a grace, you know, or goddess if you want to call her that. But you know, goddesses. Anyway, she's a divinity, a power, but she's a law. And this law is that anything that is governed by the heart is in balance. So for them, the social justice system was balanced with the heart. Financial systems were done with the heart. Even family systems, relationships, anything that weighs the heart down and creates a sense of negativity, heaviness, dullness, all that means lift up the energy. Do what it takes to lighten the heart. This was the core and foundation of the ancient Egyptian culture. Ma'at, the law of Ma'at governed the land, the law of nature. Nature balances everything, allows everything to be in this beautiful harmonic. It doesn't mean it's always peaceful. Life has conflicts and whatever. But as long as the heart is light in all of that, there's something beautiful and sacred about life. So I think this is a very important thing. If we could reintegrate the system of Ma'at into governance systems, financial systems, relationships, and really focus on the heart and what we're feeling and not dumping everything on others and then blaming them and projecting and this, there's so much drama and madness out there. When we awaken to our true core power of our heart and the beauty in there, I think those things will change. But they have to change within us and in our immediate life around us and with the people we're with and in our work circumstances. So one way you can just see is like when you relate to that person, is your heart light or is it getting heavier and heavier and then at the end you dump it because you don't know what to do with it? Or do you know how to take responsibility and uplift your heart so you when people are with you, they feel uplifted in your
Hmm.
presence.
Yeah, and this is
So
definitely what I feel even remotely right now with you.
mm, so this law of Ma'at is for probably one of the most important because our political systems are not governed by laws of Ma'at. They're not governed by laws of nature. They're governed by laws that are in a way unnatural to our true soul nature, which is sharing and caring and there's so much. There is so much of everything in this world. There is no need for scarcity. And this is where the ma'at in money systems, you know, like if we can integrate those in our money system, there is enough for everyone. So no one has to be in scarcity anymore. And this is
Hmm.
very important. This is actually a subject that's very close to my heart because a lot of people, especially because I'm here in Egypt, are in poverty. And more now in the world, more and more people are broke. More and more people are not able to really shine and flower in their creative gift because they're always thinking about what am I going to do next month with my money. It pulls all the energy down into scarcity. There's no room for creativity. And this is another reason why this law of ma'at is that truly nature is abundance. And there's enough when when to go around for everyone. Anyway, so these are some things that are I think are very, very important. And also restoring the sacredness to body to life, to nature, even to our erotic nature. This perversion is such an issue on the planet. There is such a perversion around sexuality that is like a poison to people's, like, in a way, innocence, and this innocence that they're born with. And more young people are being like really confronted by perversion, because our sexuality is not in the light, it's lurking and infested, and it's hard to even say this. So by integrating back this culture, we bring back something that is very innocent and pure to something that we're born of, and we die back into this life force energy again. And this is something that's very important to my heart, and that I feel ancient Egypt has a very beautiful history. Like, you can see it on the walls, even the bodies, and the erections and the breasts. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
it's so
Mm-hmm.
beautiful because it's just nature, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
And
Yes,
it's accepted, and it's not considered as a sin or shameful or yeah, yeah. Well, but
yes,
at the same time, there is so much fear in the 21st century.
yes.
Uh, yeah, especially in right now, right, with all the
Because
situations
of
that are.
thousands of years of conditioning, and that is going to take time, and it needs time to be reprogrammed, and there are ways to reprogram that. And if someone is willing to go through that process, it doesn't have to take forever, it doesn't need to be years and years of therapy, but there needs to be a willingness to receive or to respect that sacredness again, and then life changes. And so we have to be patient, I think, because it's a long history, and we carry that memory in our bodies and bones from all our ancestors for thousands of years who've lived that way. So to be patient with ourselves, and then to decide and to choose to do it differently.
You remind me actually of one thing. The last in my channel, in this YouTube channel, I study ancient Egyptian architecture, and the last five videos that I've done are on royal palaces. So basically, where the kings lived, basically, and there is just one, basically, or two buildings that we know that the king lived in. It's Tele La Marna and Malkata in Luxor, right?
Uh-huh.
Uh, Malkata has an harem, is what they call harem, the women room, okay, inside of the palace, and Tele La Marna doesn't, because probably Akhenaten maybe was super happy with Nefertiti. I don't know, but well, it had, but was outside the palace anyway. And but what I was wanted to say, my point is, you can see even if it's not written in the walls, you can see it even in the royal palaces, the patterns of like ducks, especially in Terra La Marna, ducks and grass and water in the walls, like painted on the walls, and a few of them survived. And also in the ceilings, there was these huge birds like painted on the ceilings. And but most importantly, yeah, I think it's ancient Egyptian architecture that is not funerary. Everything that was funerary was built in stone, practical, like most of the times. But the common, like even the royal palaces were built in mud brick. And now you know how that it's a biodegradable material, and how sustainable is that is, and how natural that is. Even the kings had that like natural component to them, and so
Mm.
they still made wars. Like they still got like to conquer whatever Syria or down Nubia or Libya. They still like conquer the ancient world, but and caused a lot of pain and violence. Which I guess at this point I guess is natural. Like I don't even know what to think about that. But what you can see, and I'm gonna conclude this by saying this, is basically you can see in the plans of the royal palaces that you have these super rigid structures, but the spaces, they are super organic between them. Like they're like
Mm.
puzzles. if you like, they look like labyrinths in a way. Like you can lose yourself inside, and it's like a human body. It's super organic. It's an organism. The royal palace was an organism, and it's just amazing to study that. And as an architect, I can see in the 21st century, we are so like
Mm.
we are like 10% of freedom. Like 90% is just following the rules, because if we don't, we get in trouble. Like and we are poor, so we can't pay, like, lawsuits and things like that. So we are really like, the system is pretty um,
Mm.
rigid, even professionally, not just life wise. So what you say in a poetic way, I was saying this in my field, is like that nowadays.
Oh.
Um, but it's not always true. Like, there are cases that architects are super inventive and super creative, and they can be, but it's super challenging.
Um, I just love what you shared, and I'm learning something from you too, because I wasn't aware that the palaces were built, for example, from mud bricks, and the way you described it, I really could see it. And it's just such a beautiful metaphor for, like, if, yeah, as you shared it so beautifully, like if we live life so rigid without the round curves, it's just, yeah, there isn't like I feel like there isn't a space to breathe really, or to feel this organic natural
Mm-hmm.
life. And in the curves and in the round spaces and in the natural material, something inside can also relax. So
And
I really love what you shared. And it's also this really beautiful symbol of balancing this masculine feminine
mhm.
principle. Like the masculine is rigid by nature to hold things into place, but also to hold her so she can move and dance and be round and spirally. And this doesn't mean that only women are like this and men are like this.
Mhm.
Actually, men have to, we have to have both equally balanced and married inside of us. So I love that you share this about buildings, and that at the same time we can also share about having a healthy life and having this structure, but this round, beautiful matter in between.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I find myself very rigid in the way I design, and the like okay, I'm an architect, so but the designing, it's a way of writing, and it's a way of thinking, it's a way of communicating with the world. And I can see what the architect is telling me by looking at a building. So it's like watching a movie for me. Every building is like watching a movie, and it's more difficult, maybe when you didn't study architecture, to see what's communicating, but you can feel it inside. You go to Barcelona and you watch the buildings of Gaudi, and you see that organicity,
Yes,
that
absolutely.
organicity. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was still like, the amazing thing, he was able to still be in the structure, still work for the elites, still work, like, like everything was super structured, but he was playing with it
Hmm.
carelessly, like just shamelessly. And the best architects we ever had, I think, after Imhotep, maybe. I joke. Look, I was curious about one thing. Maybe, what is the lotus? The what is going on with the blue lotus? What is this?
Yeah, so the blue lotus is a flower that used to grow in the Nile everywhere. Now you don't see it anywhere in the Nile, really. More and more people now are waking up to remembering the blue lotus. The blue lotus is a symbol that you can see in most of the temple walls. It's drawn everywhere. It was a medicine that they used. They drank it, they bathed in it, they used the resin, they put it in wine, they journeyed with it. Some pictures are even like smoking it, in a pipe. So the Blue Lotus was a very important, in a way, vehicle for them to journey in this world, in the unseen spaces. It's a dream flower. It wakes up our dreaming. It's an aphrodisiac. It can really bring up a lot of hidden emotions that maybe we don't know what are there. So it's a very intelligent flower, and by drinking it, it's also a relaxant. It soothes the body, the nerves. So it's a very beautiful medicine for relaxing, especially if you have anxiety, think a lot. It's very calming, very relaxing, which I think is a very important flower of our time. And And so that it was very common here in Egypt, and then at some point it disappeared, completely. So there's a legend that I don't know the origin of this legend, but many of us here in my community here in Egypt, we heard it's like from word of mouth from some person to some person that, and maybe it stayed like that for thousands of years, who knows, that when the Blue Lotus comes back to the Nile, humanity will awaken and remember itself. So when I started drinking the Blue Lotus, I was 21. So this is 16 years ago. No one knew about the Blue Lotus. It was like a hidden secret. And then I knew that the flower was a very important part of my life. And since then, my very close people I love very dearly in this world also have this connection. And so I feel like the Blue Lotus is a very important medicine of our time. Coming together as a community to drink the Blue Lotus is very special. Being with your partner and in a very beautiful, intimate setting with the Blue Lotus is very beautiful. And also, I do feel there's a deeper quality to the lotus that my senses. It's really about like kind of it's bridging us to the new civilization that is coming. And I think Egypt, you said, what are some of the things that Egypt is showing us in the world? Well, I said four things, but I do feel there's one more, which is going to be the future of technology and how ancient Egypt was so developed in technology. And we're connecting now we're in a huge technology renaissance. How can technology actually not be, oh, that we're all scared of it, that it's going to ruin ruin us as humans? How can it actually upgrade us to the space where, or to the level where we can say, oh, we're superhuman again, or not even superhuman, just bright humans again, like woke up humans, like the way nature intended us to be. So I do think this is a very important gift to humanity. And for some reason, there's a mystery to the lotus, but it seems to be a bridge into this new civilization.
But
But on a very personal level, it's very beautiful to drink and to just be with. It's very soothing. Yeah.
but so it's a tea at the moment, right? Is the thing that,
You can have it as a tea. You can have it as a resin. You can have it as a tincture. You can have it as a perfume. So those are some ways to use
mm,
it, to journey with it. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, yes, which brings me to another question, because we are approaching the hour more or less of the podcast, and so in your retreat, this is something that you do, like ceremonies with the Blue Lotus, or
Yes. So for example, the next retreat I'm doing in April is called the Blue Lotus Immersion. So for 12 days, we journey all through Egypt, through all the temples, and we really journey with the Blue Lotus as a medicine and to wake up to the deeper imprints and blueprints of the temples. And how does it not just so that we're like, wow, but how it's an inner transformational journey. For me, if something is not changing your life and how you feel about yourself and how you are in the world, and it's not having an impact on your relationships or how you feel about your body and how you like you said so beautifully at the beginning, joy, like happiness,
mhm.
if that's not arising, then I don't know what the point is of all the it has to affect us directly in the most core and intimate places that really changes our life for the better. So this is a journey designed around that, but really supported by the ancient Egyptian map, you could say, or shamanic path. The Blue Lotus is a way we journey by also drinking it, by being with the lotus. And yeah, for anyone who's interested, I'm actually launching in a few months the Blue Lotus International Soul School, which is the new school that I'm launching called Bliss, but it's an abbreviation for Blue Lotus International Soul School. And this is really like online programs, a lot of content to really start going on this path if it's calling you. The meditations, the practices, the information, the knowledge, but also bridging that to become a living experience and not just more information. I think we're informationed out at the moment. How do we digest that, synthesize it so it becomes embodied and a way of life and not just another great thing? So this is the school. It's bridging the information really to your living experience and quality of your life.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to to join one day one of your retreats,
Yeah.
especially because if you go in Egypt as a tourist, and it's okay, like it's okay, it's just one experience, but what do you want? Like, do you really want to to spend your time like making like it's
Right.
so meaningless. Like you want to like take pictures and you're in Egypt, like take advantage of it. Like it's like breathe, let it let
Mm,
it come to you. Let just breathe. You know, it's I was there. I took like for 1 month. I took like I don't know maybe 50 pictures. Like
mm,
nothing, zero. Like I was in the pyramids. I was like okay, well, but really like I was more focused on being present as you were saying because that's the place to be and also and yeah but yeah and so if anybody's interested it's like guys like it's an opportunity to go and visit Egypt with take on it and not just meaninglessly or just
mm.
let's go to Egypt because this year it's I want to go to Egypt and I don't want to go to Greece I don't know what to do with my time let's go and make pictures of the pyramids which so many millions of people already taken before you so
Mhm,
it's all about what you want in life you want to have a journey or you want to move from one place to another just
mhm,
right
mhm. Yeah, yeah.
so yeah so where can people find you on Instagram yes but I don't know if you want
Yes,
to share your contact or something
yes. Is there a place for you to put it maybe under this? So
under
my
description yes
yes, so there is of course the school, which is actually in a couple of months. We have a very temporary website up now, but it's Bliss BLISS dot school, uh, which is going to have be the home of the school. So if you see it now, if you listen to this soon, maybe in a few months you'll see that it's changed. It's right now undergoing uh, renovation, you could say, or new architecture. And also, you're very welcome to go on my Instagram, Jasmeen, so JASMEEN underscore Hana, HANA underscore. And also, there is a Bliss School Instagram that we're launching. So, yeah, all of this with the spring equinox is now coming into life.
yeah you're
Uh,
right
Yes. So I was with a website called Egyptian Temple Arts, which is still available, but it's going to be pulled down in a few months. So I don't know when you listen to this, but anyway, Bliss School is the main school for now. And yeah.
yeah, you're easy to find. I have to confess.
Yeah.
Anybody can,
Okay.
just Google Jasmine and they
Oh,
find.
good. Yeah. Or Google Jasmeen
Yeah,
Hana, and likely you'll find some things
yeah.
because I've also been involved with the International School of Temple Arts for the last 10 years. So I'm also been traveling, and there's quite a few things up there.
Jasmine.
Yeah. And
Oh, sorry.
yeah.
Go on, go on. I
Oh
don't
no,
want to.
and there's also one annual retreat that is called Egyptian Tantra in Greece this year. So you can also, if you're into Tantra and you want to give it really explore the Egyptian side of the tantric qualities. It's not the same like the Indian, but not so far apart. But there's the Egyptian Tantra is also something in May. I will be taking a year and a half off from all live retreats to focus on the online work.
Well,
So I'll be back in the middle of 2026 with live events for also myself to regenerate
yeah.
so that I practice what I teach and focus on the online work. And back in mid 26, I'll be back with live events. So if anyone hears this before, you're very welcome to join
So this
the
is the last
last
call.
the last call, basically. Yeah.
I have to take this now. Jasmine, maybe before we wrap it up, I was. This is very live and very improvised, so I don't know if you can do this very live, but would you mind to share some minutes of meditation if you like to conclude this?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Let's do that. Yeah.
Okay. Can you improvise that?
Yes. Let's
Great.
come into a nice comfortable position. And what's really important before we meditate is that we learn to relax our jaw because the jaw is sometimes very tight. So you can even just open your mouth a little. And when you breathe, deep in breath, and as you exhale, allow a sigh to come out. So really want to relax the heart area, the shoulder, the neck, the belly, really soften the body so that we feel our body from our head all the way down to our pelvic floor, to our feet. In breath, out breath, and allow the sound to really come down from the lower part of your belly, from your root. Relaxing the mind, relaxing the thoughts, relaxing the heart, relaxing the belly, relaxing the spine, relaxing our ingoing and outgoing breath. Allow everything for a moment to relax until you find yourself very present here in this moment, feeling the sensations in your body, your breath. Everything is relaxed. And we invite the spirit, the soul of this land of Kemet or Egypt, feeling the fluidity of your spine like a river, connecting you all the way to the base, all the way to earth, all the way down to the base of your body, that you even feel your feet, your thighs, your buttocks, your lower back. The river Nile connecting you to earth. And also as you breathe, feeling the fluidity of your breath, as you breathe it up the spine very gently from the root, from the base, like a river flowing through your heart all the way up to the crown, which is the heavens or the starry night. And just take some moments to breathe softly in a relaxed body, but bringing some energy into your breathing through the spine, bridging stars to earth, bridging heaven on earth through your body, bridging physicality with spirituality. And bridging the heart as the center of that meeting place. As this breathing moisturizes you from inside, hydrates you, inspires you, so simple, yet fully contained with everything. And if you need to sigh or breathe, if your thoughts have been many lately, or if there's been any weight on the heart, a sigh can help you relieve that, so that all the electricity or energy, if there is any in your mind or heart, can relax and ground into this earth of your bones. And if you've been feeling very heavy lately, maybe you feel the upliftment into some flight within. Balancing your elemental body, feeling the intelligence of nature support you in doing that. So we're going to complete our meditation by taking a nice deep breath all the way from our feet, and just imagining that our tailbone really connects us to the earth and almost to the serpent-like energy of the earth. And as you breathe it up, as you exhale, allow it to open your heart, and just imagine these wings from your heart on either side. And breathing from the earth again, from your feet, all the way through your spine, through your heart, and all the way to your crown. And this time, imagine as you exhale a beautiful sun that's rising from your mind, illuminating you from within. With your final breath, breathing from your crown all the way into the heart, and just allow your exhale to ground you back down to this earth. So thank you. It's been a pleasure to be here. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you again. Whoever's listening, get in touch if you feel called. And thank you for this opportunity, Leonardo.
Jasmine, thank you for coming. This was such a. I knew this would have been a special episode.
Thank
We'll be
you.
in touch. Let me conclude the registration. Like